Thank you, Bitika, for your very gracious introduction, and thanks, Ms. Sinha, and all the distinguished colleagues, either practicing lawyers or in-house counsel or some law teachers. I think we owe a debt to Legally Consulting for continuing its very profound activities so far as the legal profession is concerned. And this particular issue is of great significance because it also affects, whether adversely or correctly, or it advances, you see, the cause of the legal profession of India. The government has taken a very good initiative. We at SILF had opposed for, as Bitika said, for more than 2 decades now, the entry of foreign lawyers in India. But looking at the overall global scenario and looking at the opening of the Indian economy, we felt, you see, that it is now the right time to have a dialogue with the government and to say, we are on your side, because during these last 20 years when we had opposed the entry of foreign law firms, we have, as a legal profession and particularly as law firms, we have strengthened ourselves, we have enlarged ourselves, we have gained that technological knowledge, so we can compete with anyone, and we are none to anyone, you see, we are not second to anyone in the world so far as efficiency, knowledge, competence, speed delivery, whichever is concerned. So these 20 years have enabled us to build up ourselves. So if there is a competition now, this competition will not be to our detriment. It will be good, healthy competition, which would, I think, over a period of time, open up avenues for the growth of the Indian legal profession, for growth of the profession in the sense of providing even good legal education, because that is another area which has to be looked into when we speak about the legal reforms that and the opening and liberalization of the profession is concerned. Legal education is a very, very integral part of it, and that is one area where possibly we are lagging behind what is happening in the developed countries. Our national law schools are there, our some very eminent private institutions are there, but then there are so many which are just like shops which sell the degrees even without having any infrastructure. There is only a name, but there is nothing, you see, if you visit that place. Therefore, all that requires to be done. SILF is very much indebted to the government, that the government has recognized the Society of Indian Law Firms as the only representative body from the legal profession, besides, of course, the regulator, that is the Bar Council of India. The government rightly felt, and this started happening in 2014, that law firms have a very heavy stake in this, and rightly so. The government, way back in the beginning of 2015, at the initiative of the then nodal ministry, that is the Ministry of Commerce, set up an interministerial group which consisted of about 18 ministries, and the Commerce Secretary was chairing, you see, that interministerial group. And the Bar Council Chairman, Mr. Manan Mishra, and I, as the President of SILF, were invited to be a part of this high-profile interministerial group. Our views were sought, we made a presentation, and coincidentally, our approach, our presentation was almost identical to the presentation which was officially made by the Ministry of Commerce in that very meeting which took place in January 2014. So with the Ministry of Commerce and the SILF, you see, we were on the same page. Now what was that presentation that we made? Because our presentation still holds good till today, and that has been the subject matter of discussion within the government also, so much so that the matter had gone even right up to the PMO, and they have studied, you see, our... So what is that presentation? Very simple, but based on experiences of other jurisdictions. One is that, yes, this is a step in the right direction, we are with you, but please do it in a phased, sequential manner. One phase will lead to a second phase will lead to the third phase, and in that proper sequence. That was the approach, official approach, presented to the Ministry of Commerce under my signature officially to the government. Phase 1 is, yes, liberalization, but liberalization of what? First you have to start with liberalization of the profession internally, within India. Let the opening of the legal profession be there, in the sense, why can't we have our websites? Why can't we have our brochures, firms' brochures? Why can't we have LLPs? The law is there, but the Bar Council of India is not taking any steps. And ironically, in the rules which have now been circulated by the Bar Council of India, they say we will permit the LLPs of foreign law lawyers, you see, to come and practice in India. But within India, you don't allow the LLPs to be set up. It's a very, very strange approach, you see, that we are seeing. Anyway, that is the first phase. And of course, the questions of reciprocity and all that, those are, I don't consider them to be important, because these will all fall in place. Now, our people are also opening offices outside India. But the crucial issue is first to remove these shackles on the legal profession within the country. That is phase 1. It is like a precondition before moving to stage 2. Phase 2 will come only when you do phase 1. And what is holding back the Bar Council of India? It does not even require the government approval. Under the Advocates Act, they are authorized, they are competent to introduce all these changes. But they are not doing it. So phase 1, if there is a willingness, you see, to take the issue forward on the part of the Bar Council of India, can be achieved in 1 month's time. They say, okay, we'll pass a resolution, we allow you to set up your website within certain conditions. We don't want, you see, to be seen to be advertising as they do in the United States on the electronic media. If you want a divorce, I am the lawyer for you. If you have met with an accident, I am the ambulance chaser, you see, you can come to me and all that. We don't want that sort of a right to advertise. What we want is a right to disseminate information about our member law firms, about the partners who are there, about the areas of practice that they are doing, so that a person sitting in Chicago, if he wants a lawyer in Kanpur, he doesn't have to ask his friend Lalit Bhasin, can you suggest to me some lawyer you see in Kanpur on this issue or that issue? That is the handicap, you see, that we are suffering from. Therefore, phase 1, if it has to be implemented, it will not take time, and it's for the Bar Council of India and possibly under the pressure of the Government of India to come to stage 2, but after arranging, you see, that phase 1 is put in proper place. Now, what was phase 2? Phase 2 was, yes, you permit the foreign lawyers, the foreign law firms, to come to India, but on one condition, and that condition cannot be compromised. That condition is that they will practice only their law. That is the history of foreign law practices in all jurisdictions. We have studied it in depth, you see, what are the different systems. So only their own respective laws, without involving any Indian lawyers, without involving any Indian law firm, because at present that is not even permitted under the Advocates Act. An Indian lawyer having, you see, to deal with or to have an arrangement, an association with a non-Indian practicing advocate, a lawyer outside India. If they have to do that, they have to amend, you see, the Advocates Act, because without the amendment of the Advocates Act, this right cannot be given, you see, to the foreign lawyers. And that is phase 2. Let us see how they go about things in phase 2, whether they are adhering to that or they are in breach of that. That has to be seen. Our experience right from 1997, you see, 95 rather, then famous lawyers collective case, that some foreign law firms came, they took the entire floors of Taj Hotel in Bombay, the Oberoi here and all that, and set up their law practices. Man, they were doing Indian practice, you see. Therefore, once bitten, twice shy, we have to see whether they are adhering, you see, to the norms, to the rules that have been put in place. If they do it, then after 2-3 years of phase 2, you move to phase 3. Phase 3 is an elaborate phase, you see, where we have said on behalf of the Society of Indian Law Firms, that is the stage where they could have some association, some arrangement with the Indian lawyers. They could enter into arrangements provided the law is amended and it is suitably put in place along with the rules and regulations. Now this is the key area where, you see, we had been having discussions with the government. Now the nodal ministry seems to have changed. I think the matter has been taken up by the Ministry of Law and Justice, and the new secretary, after his dynamic predecessor, that is Mr. Malhotra, who did a great job, you see, for the liberalization, carrying on dialogues and also speaking about arbitration, how that can be, India can be made a hub. Now the present law secretary also seems to be very, very serious about how to take it forward. And we had a very good meeting with him on 5th of July, where SILF was invited and the BCI representatives were there, some representatives of ICA, and also the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Home. They were also represented in those meetings, as also some chambers like FICCI and ASSOCHAM, they were also represented. But SILF was asked to make a proper presentation. We constituted a team of very high profile managing partners of the law firms. We split that into 2 groups, one group based in Delhi, one group based in Bombay, to have their own internal discussions about the Bar Council of India draft rules. And what we discovered after going through the draft rules, I think they are most shabbily drafted. I've never seen a bad piece of drafting, you see, than these draft rules. And I would not be surprised if the Bar Council of India itself disowns those rules, because I don't think they have a role in drafting those. It is someone else who has drafted those rules, not the Bar Council of India, because they do have competent people to do that. There is so much of ambiguity in that. And what they are trying to do in the rules is completely eliminate phase 1. Phase 1 does not figure, you see, about, they do not talk about how to promote the Indian legal profession first, how to safeguard the Indian legal profession. They straight away go to phase 2, and in phase 2, shockingly, you see, they say that they can have some arrangement with the Indian lawyers, with the Indian law firms and all that. Now, that was not our presentation, that was not even the government's presentation. Government also agreed with this phased sequential approach, which was started by SILF. The Ministry of Commerce is on record. It is minuted. We have the copies of the minute. They say, we fully support, you see, the stand of SILF. It seems to be very reasonable. And even the PMO had cleared that. So the Bar Council of India rules, I don't think, you see, that can be the basis of any meaningful discussion. Our presentation to the law secretary and to that group, you see, which he has constituted, he even indicated that there may be another interministerial group to whom, you see. So we have already completed. Our team has been working very hard, whether it is Mr. Jyoti Sagar or Mr. Lakshmi Kumaran, you see, or Mr. Rajiv Luthra, or Mr. Shardul Shroff and Pallavi and Nishit Desai. Everyone has been working on these personally by giving their inputs. And we are, I can share with you, we are almost ready, I think about 99%, and I should be able to present, you see, this